Okay, good evening. My name is Steve Szymborski. For those of you that have not been to our meetings before, this is amazing. It's almost standing room only. When you add in all the safety forces standing up, it is standing room only. We don't usually get this at a council meeting. So part of me that says we just should draw out the oath of office at the end so everybody stays here and listens to the deliberations. But I think most people would be happy to get sworn in and move on. So it's August 19th, 2025. We have a very full agenda. It's 5:30, so we'll open the meeting with a roll call, please, clerk.
Anton?
Here.
Broom?
Here.
Deacon?
Here.
Onesco?
Here.
Press?
Present.
Steinbrink?
Here.
Turner? Here.
Thank you. First order of business is the oath of office to Patrolman Sam Bellissimo. I think most of you on council know that one of our objectives this year was to hire a full-time officer. We've had several good candidates over the last 6 to 7 months and are pleased that we landed at the end of that process. So Sam's joined us about a week ago for some basic training, has done some drive arounds and learned how to fire weapons and other kinds of things that you hope to only do in training. But we'd like to administer the oath of office to Sam. Would you please join me along with your family up by the flag, please? Right hand and repeat after me. Yeah. Congratulations, Dad. Whatever, stand up. Robbie Hanson, return.
I'd like to take just a minute to say a few words about Cadet Robert Hanson, Robbie Hanson. He's the first cadet fully sponsored by Gates Mills Fire Department, NFPA Level 2 firefighter. He was also the valedictorian of his class at Auburn. He's now attending Emergency Medical Technician School at Auburn Career Center. Also, he has the most call-out responses of any cadet on the department.
Robbie, raise your right hand. Step me. On fourth on Dad. I, Robert Hanson. I, Robert. Hereby swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, Constitution of the State of Ohio, Charter and ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills. I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially discharge my duties as firefighter, which I have been appointed according to law and best of my ability. So help me God. Good. Tom? That's the smallest. Challenges tonight. Thank you, Rob. Congratulations. Travis?
I'd like to take just a moment to tell you about Travis Velba. He's the first Gates Mills candidate via grant from the State Fire Marshal and the Ohio Fire Academy. They picked up his full tuition for both firefighter and emergency medical technician.
Travis, raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I, Travis Belba, do hereby swear that I will support the Constitution of America, Constitution of the State of Ohio, Charter and ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills. I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially judge my duties as firefighter, which I have been appointed, according to law and the best of my ability. Tom? I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have to go there.
Wanted just to thank all the service folks that came as well, the police officers and fire department personnel. Thanks for supporting your teammates, your colleagues, and good luck with your helping them get onboarded and trained here in the village. It's a special privilege to work here, and we're pleased that these young men have joined our forces. So thank you for coming. Okay, we'll go to item 4, minutes, the regular council meeting of July 15th. Comments were, drafts were sent to you in advance. Beth or Janet, were there any comments or corrections that came in?
I did not hear of any.
Anyone on council have comments or suggestions, edits?
I'd move approval of the minutes of the July 15th meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Groom,
Yes.
Deacon,
I missed the beginning of the meeting, so I'll abstain.
Nesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, 5 minutes of the special council meeting of August 5th. Again, drafts were sent to you in advance. Were there any comments or corrections, Beth?
No.
No? Are there any comments or corrections at this point?
I move approval.
Thank you. Sandra?
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Roll call, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Groom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Nesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yeah.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
We have on the agenda the findings and conclusions of fact for 640. That document is not with us tonight, so we'll skip past that, bring that to the next meeting. Next item is number 7, pay ordinance 1300 for $707,139.52. Are there any questions from council members on the pay ordinance?
Just a couple of things on the 8, it's on page 6 of 10. Install the cell alarm inspections routinely in plant. Is that cell phone alarm? Does that allow us to get notices too? Okay. And the, on the ambulance, what I believe is the ambulance reimbursement to Mayfield Village, we get reimbursed for some of those?
We do.
They take care of it.
But do you have a page, Scott?
Yeah, I'm on page 8 of 10. It's
While they're looking, the answer is we're reimbursed, I think, between $600 and $800 for each of the ambulance runs as they're billed. And if those people have insurance, the cost to us is $2,200. So we recover about a third
page 3.
Page
of the
3,
cost.
18,000, that 941, that's what the collections were. But they lag on the months, but that's what they collected and credited to us through the billing partner that made.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Motion to approve pay ordinance 1300.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott.
Second,
Thank you, Laurie. Roll call, please.
Getton,
Yes.
Groom,
Yes.
Deacon,
yes.
Janesko,
Yes.
Russ,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Item number 8, the Gates Mills Land Conservancy Report. As has been customary in the past, every 6 months, the Land Conservancy submits its written report to council and appears to present that and answer any questions that council may have. With us tonight is Jamie Carricker, the president of the Gates Mills Land Conservancy Board. Jamie, we'll turn it over to you to make any comments on your report or field questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Very happy to be here on behalf of the Land Conservancy. You have a report, as the Mayor said, so I won't go through it line by line, but I did want to kind of hit on some highlights just so you're aware. We continue our work around stewardship. We are proud to work with the village on the tree canopy project, and our work at the Merkle Preserve on Sugar River Road, just south of Mayfield, continues. You'll see a big transition there as we continue to go after invasives. Our board voted recently to continue that program on our Locanti Preserve, which is just across the street, to expand it. We saw a lot of great results there, so we dedicated our own resources to continue that. And if you go up north on Sugar River Road towards Mayfield, you see a really big change on the right as you drive on the right. And we're starting the first stage of that. We're going to continue that over a couple of years. Obviously removing invasives is the first step, and we're going to replace that with native plants and trees and that sort of thing. So very exciting. Also, we continue to work with on a confidential grant that we received, or a confidential benefactor funded a grant to go after Tree of Heaven in the village. So that grant finishes this year. We're continuing to do that, and we're actually going to go for renewal of that grant for next year, so we continue to fund work to kind of remove that tree where we can find it on our properties. We're really excited next month, in a couple of weeks actually, the Land Trust Alliance, which is the national organization for land conservancies around the country, is having their conference in Cleveland. So we're inviting a group on a field trip. So around 50 members of land conservancies around the country are coming into Gates Mills, as well as other parts of the Chagrin Valley. We're partnering with the Chagrin River Watershed Partners and Western Reserve Land Conservancy to visit Gates Mills, Western Reserve's headquarters down in Moreland Hills and back up in Willoughby. So we're really excited. We're going to be showing off some of the tree canopy work, as well as some work around the river down right here at the pedestrian bridge. So I'm really excited to show that off. We were selected. We actually came up with a proposal with those organizations, and we were picked from amongst the different ones. So we were very proud to be taken there. So you'll see them September 4th. You might see a big bus rolling around for a couple hours here in town before they leave. October 15th is our yearly annual meeting. So more will be coming out about that. We'll have an invitation with more information on our speaker. We're really excited about the speaker, other things happening. But everyone is welcome to attend, from within the village, our members, of course, but others as well. We're having it right here, and it's free. So we definitely would love to see everybody here.
And there'll be food.
There'll be food.
Yes.
Yes. And Scott has contributed amazing food, and I definitely highly recommend Scott's skills as a cook. The last component I would just mention is our financials. So as of the end of June, we have raised about $21,000 in membership contributions this year from nearly 90 donors. We also were very pleased and humbled to receive a generous unrestricted $100,000 donation from the family of Miss Bonnie Humphrey, which will go to support our work around land conservation stewardship. We're working with the village, I know mayor and others to come up with a memorial for her in the village center, which I know more will be coming out about that, but really pleased to be able to kind of recognize her contributions to the village. Through June, in terms of our financials, we've raised or not raised, but our revenues this year are around $139,000. Expenses about $13,800, just under $14,000. And we're at a net of about $125,000. In terms of total funds, we have operating funds at around $571,000, special gift fund at $8,100, levy funds standing at around $98,000, and stewardship reserves at $217,000, but $218,000. And our total sum is $842,225. We, obviously run against a strict budget. We're feeling good that we're going to meet our budget or hopefully exceed it in terms of, donations and that sort of thing. And that's my recap. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any.
An observation, the cash balance at the end of June is $840,000. If we extrapolate out to the end of next year, which is the end of the sharing, where you have a target of at least 7, it looks as if with no additional expenditure for the land, so you're going to be close to $1 million by the end of next year. It's a lot of money. It's good to have.
Yes, it's good to have. When, as you mentioned, we are required to have 700,000. So, obviously we look at opportunities that make sense to use that, but we don't want to use it foolishly or, have good due diligence.
I have a question, if I may, too.
Yes.
A long time ago, my wife and I gave money to the Land Conservancy to buy a piece of property behind the live, specific. And my understanding at the time was that all the properties that were acquired or given to the Land Conservancy would never be sold for development. And yet I understand that's not absolutely clear in your bylaws. You still have the option, I think, to sell if you so chose. And previous chairmen have said, well, we'd never do that. I'd feel much better if that were some institutionalized in your. So I'd like to see that happen for all the owned properties that you have, which are 300 acres we're talking about trying to renovate. So I wondered if the board agreed with that target. So how it was done.
Yeah, so our board definitely agrees. Every property that we own, we purchase with the intention of keeping it as a conserved property. We don't look at things as something we want to sell or develop on or anything like that. We have done some research in terms of what our options are to, really codify that, make that binding. And we are looking at a couple of different avenues. The strictest is putting conservation easements on owned properties, which is, I know, something we've talked about as a board. There's a challenge with that in that in order to do that, we just can't put a conservation easement on a property that we own. We have to create a separate legal entity that then holds the property. Then we have a conservation easement that we own, Land Conservancy, that the property owns, or vice versa. The challenge with that is, when we do that, we then have to requalify as a, for basically not having to pay taxes on the property. So, that's a very lengthy process, with the county, with the state to kind of go through that process to say, hey, we've moved ownership because the ownership of the property will change. So they don't care, that we're still the same, mission. We have to go through that whole process. So then there could be years, if we do that all at once, that's a lot of tax burden that we would have to feel. And also it's just high amount of labor, lawyers, and that sort of thing. So that's not to say we're not going to do that, but it's just a lot of effort to do, and we can't do it all at once. So, we're also looking at other ways that we can kind of codify that. At the end of the day, the board is aligned that we purchase these properties to protect them. So, there's no dissent or like that. We're just trying to figure out how we best do it in a way that's.
Jamie, in all fairness, is it fair to say that we've been told for some period of time, years, not months, that you were going to put easements on those properties and that it never seems to happen?
Well, I can't speak to past years, or what you might have heard. I mean, I don't, it's definitely not something where we don't want to do it or we are, making excuses. It's just, how do we do it in a way that's, sustainable and tenable? We are a 15-member volunteer board. We have one part-time employee. And, we just need to be sure that we can do all the different things we have to do in a way that's sustainable and we do it in, it's the best interest of the property. So, I can't speak to what people might have said in the past, but definitely our intention is not to do anything else.
I have two more questions, if you don't mind. Could you tell us about the open access policy and where it applies and where it doesn't apply, and whether you're going to do more open access, and what plans you have for the ones that are designated open access?
Yeah, so we have two properties that we voted as a board that were, open, I guess I should say. So the one is Sherman Road Preserve, which is where we've periodically mowed a trail there, where, there's walking available. It's a little rough because, it's not mowed every week or anything, but there's a trail. The other is the Wick Preserve, which is used primarily by equestrians on public. It's just down the road. They ride horses through there. So those two we did vote because they were good options for that. One was already being used by pedestrians. So those are the two. The others, there's no change. There's no public access to our properties. Otherwise,
Is
we don't own
it
public-
fair to say, Jamie, that if you wanted to be the devil's advocate, by putting open access on Sherman, you are in effect creating a kind of a public park? I know there've been complaints from people who live in the area about ATVs, Gates Mills residents ATVs, I might add, and there've been police complaints about that.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, one of the things that, we voted that those properties, would be open to public and that we wouldn't, push against that, but we still have much more work to do in order to, promote that. We haven't promoted it. So it's not something that we voted that this is something that we all agreed that we would like to proceed with, but we're not, publicly pushing it. It's a, kind of a soft launch, I would say.
Well, if somebody gets hurt over there, who's liable?
Well, from what we understand, I guess it depends. I mean, it's not. I would need to go back and look at our legal information, but what we discussed was that it would not be. When properties are not open, obviously there's no liability there. We have insurance though that does cover access, so I would need to go back and kind of dig in on that question specifically. But we have ample insurance for various use cases. We do invite people on our properties, so that is covered as well. When people are invited on, we take them on tours. We have insurance that covers that as well.
Last but not least, for many, many years, the conservation levy that the village collects, I think it was five-year terms that all went to the Land Conservancy. The current arrangement for the current term, which expires next year, is that it's split 50-50 with the village. So next year there has to be a renewal of the levy and presumably a renewal of the contract between the village and the Conservancy. What are your aspirations for the split next year when the new levy is presumably agreed and put on the ballot?
I don't think we're prepared to talk about what our preferred split would be. We do look forward to discussing with you all and the mayor, what that might look like. We value our partnership together, and we think we're a very strong contributor to the the value the villagers get. But I couldn't give you a specific, policy breakdown. I think that we would like to be able to talk with you all about that and, kind of discuss that amongst ourselves too.
Thank you.
Lori?
Sure, quick question. So you annually review a number of properties, it looks like every year, and monitor them for changes. What types of changes do you typically look for, Jane?
Yeah, that's a great question. So every property that we own or have an easement on, we visit once a year. Often multiple times a year, but definitely at least once a year. It's part of our Land Trust Alliance accreditation. We have to keep strict records in terms of how often, when do we go, what do we see? So we're looking for a number of different things. I mean, the biggest or really notable things are if people or things are happening in there that might be disturbing them. So for example, if we have an owned property, are people in there, leaving trash or anything like that, and we investigate why that might be. Similar for easements, we make sure that whoever owns easement, because they will pass through multiple owners over years. We have some that are decades old, make sure that those folks are maintaining what is required in easement, because we have to be very strict about what those are, make sure they're maintain the viability of the easement. Then we also look at other things like environmental, like, how is the tree canopy? Are we being overrun by invasives? Other kind of, stewardship type things to make sure that, we're keeping on top of it. And it's definitely something we're continuing to focus on more and more on the stewardship side of things.
Thank you. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, we have a great board of 15 people who divide them up, and I think we each have 5 each that we do. And so it's hard, but it's really important because it really gets everyone into the field and seeing what we actually have and making sure that it's not just sitting there unstewarded.
Unless there's other questions, maybe one final comment. The village has been participating with the Land Conservancy in some of the invasives projects. As council knows, the first 4 pilots that we did and completed, one of those was with the Gates Mills Land Conservancy on their property. There's been an expansion, as Jamie mentioned, on the corner of River and Mayfield with regard to that property. And we are looking to look into the later this year or next year with other projects that the Land Conservancy and the village can do together with regard to the invasives eradication. Okay, Jamie, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9, Mayor's Report. A few things not listed, but important here. We've had a number of neighborhood calls with regard to water, storm, trees, weeds, grass, etc. Probably the worst was about 2 months ago in late June. Most of the 20-some homes on Gates Mills Estates drives had experienced flooding, not in their homes, but on their properties. And we had reported that at the last meeting, I believe. Since then, Dave and Chris have talked to most of the neighbors and toured the driveways and the roadway repeatedly. This morning, I received from them a document that lists the 21 homes and what would be needed. I should say yards. It's not the homes, it's the yards. What would be needed in the yards to see whether we could avert some of that flooding. 21 of the 21 homes, there was only one that really required a significant amount of work. There's another 10 roughly that recommend work be done, and another 10 that were essentially green lights that no work needs to be done. If it is, it's relatively modest. So we are following through on that. I asked Dave and Chris to take a look at those red and yellow flagged yards and driveways and see what is the responsibility of the village, what's the responsibility of the homeowner, and we'll contact each of those individuals with a plan going forward. We've also had some issues in a couple of other areas. This is primarily grass, weeds, and cutting. Some individuals want their weeds cut. Other individuals get upset when we cut them. Some want their trees trimmed, others get upset when we trim them. And it depends on the person, depends on the road, depends on the severity, depends on the mood. So with every one of those calls, we ask Chris or Dave or Trevor to comment back to me and in many cases, talk to the resident, explain what we did, why we did it, and if there's something else that we could do or explain. In one or two instances, we will send letters to individual homes that look to clearly violate the ordinance on growth and ask for them to take care of that within the next 30 days. If nothing happens in 30 days, we usually have another phone call and maybe another follow-up letter. And then if we're pressed into that unfortunate situation after 60 or 75 days, we'll take more legal action against them. Most of this can be taken care of by people either knowing that there are ordinances that need to be followed or voluntarily following what they should be doing to take care of their yards. In some cases, people have asked for policies, the ordinance, or who gave you permission to enter my property and so on. Oftentimes those are, I'll call them heated comments that in the coolness of the next day seem to have cooled off. We do allow our service department to exercise their judgment. And if there are some places that it has a deep ditch along the right of way and it needs to be trimmed and they don't have the cutter to do that, we can easily get our grass cutter and drive by once or twice and take care of the weeds. We're not manicuring people's yards or homes. We're not cutting or trimming their trees. We're taking care of things generally that are within the 30-foot right of way. If there's any specific questions or comments, we can try to fill those afterwards or send me a note or feel free to send Dave a note. We also had a little bit of a congestion, let's call it, at the bottom of Settlers Ridge. There's a large construction project being done there on a home. And at one time, there were close to 20 cars, trucks, and trailers all at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. Created a little bit of tension for about a week or two. We've since met with the contractor, the project manager, the architect, and the owners, and have found a few ways to try to satisfy everybody there. In many cases, the trucks are permitted to park as long as they're not blocking the road. But anytime you have that many trucks, that many trailers and passenger cars, it's going to create some congestion, if not worse. So some of the solutions that have been put in place are to have more of the cars and trucks kind of mustered up at the top of the hill. So if you see a lot of cars parked either at Feller Field or at the top of Old Mill by Cardinal Lane and that area, we've asked the cars to park there and then either be instructed to go down or maybe 3 people getting into a car and drive down to the work site. I just mentioned that in case you see cars and trucks parked there that you don't normally see. Normally the police drive by and make sure that if anybody is sitting there, I usually sit there and make my cell phone calls because after I go down Berkshire, the coverage gets weak. So I've been called out once too for is everything okay? I think that's Chris. You guys were there today with the architect.
Yeah, I had said that, right.
Thank you. So if there's issues, we're happy to look into them. Generally, when I get a call or an email, or if Chris or Dave does, we communicate with each other. We generally drive up to see what the situation is. If it's something that's clearly an ordinance violation, again, we make a phone call, send a letter, send a follow-up letter, and hopefully it's rectified by that time. Okay, an item not on the agenda as well. During the last council meeting, John Anusko suggested that we take a look at some of our downtown buildings and our downtown areas. We were fortunate in the last month to sit with John and go through the report that we had prepared by an outside firm last January that identified some of the issues with the main building and the cost of doing repairs and paint and paper, but not substantial changes. And it's evident by that report that the building really has, in many cases, outlived what it was built for. It was built over 100 years ago, I think 1930, close to 100 years ago, and then refurbished about 60 years ago. So we're way past what you find in normal municipal buildings. There's little ADA access, there's no elevators, you can't get access in and out, et cetera, et cetera. We're not proposing at this point to do anything, but John got us started and take a look at that building and other buildings as well. And we'll keep working with that. It's probably worthwhile putting together a committee this fall and starting to take a look at what other municipalities do and maybe some schematics or ideas on what we could do with the facilities. John, any comments? You're welcome to add now or later.
That was a fun meeting, and I can't wait to show some cool stuff first. So we'll get some things, lots of communication and lots of fun stuff, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the agenda, item 9A, Mayor's Report, Senior Services. So we sent out a senior services survey. It's a mouthful. Just a few days ago. At the July 10th meeting, we agreed with the individuals that were there that the village should conduct a survey to better understand the needs and the wants in the current environment. There had been comments in the comprehensive planning document about the senior services and the low priority in which they ranked. The thought was that survey was probably close to 3 to 4 years old, and there was just one question, and to do this justice, we should develop more specific questions on the topic. So the meeting attendees were all invited to submit questions. We had about 6 individuals submit questions. Jean and 2 of our residents, Joy Banish and Jan Bohink, pulled those questions together and organized them along 4 key areas. The first being socialization, the second safety, the third transportation, the fourth health. We created a survey and sent that out on August 14th. A paper copy was mailed to every mailbox in the village, which is our customary way to go with the bulk mailing and the postal service. We also put the survey on the village website because some people want to do it electronically. We asked people to be honest, only submit one survey answer. Hopefully they're not stuffing the ballot box one way or another. We'll have no way of knowing that except by handwriting. If there was a misunderstanding, some of the individuals that were at the meeting thought that the committee would get together and go through the answers, the questions, and either vote them or edit them as a team. We didn't remember the meeting ended that way. We remember the meeting as being submit them, and then Jan and Joy and the staff would put them together. So if there was a misunderstanding, that was just that. Anyways, as of now, we've gotten 39 responses as of this morning. We're going to further encourage responses by putting reminders on Gates Mills Connect, and we'll ask for all the responses to come back by September 30th. This will give us time to analyze them, have the committee meet again, and be able to talk financially too about what this might mean as we get into the budget season, which is October, November.
I just want to say I came back home from traveling, taking my daughter to college, and my other daughter had put this on my desk front and center. She had somehow gotten a grimy little paws on it and was really excited. So she didn't fill it out, which is good. She let me fill it out, but we're going to fill this out together tonight. So I actually brought it in because I was super excited to see it and glad to have it.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the sidewalk project. This has created a little bit of a buzz in the village. So let me bring everybody up to speed on what has been started, what has progressed, and where we currently are at. Back in 2023, my predecessor started a process to take a look at the sidewalks and safety and initiate a project to connect the pedestrians from the Gates Mills Lower School to the library, the post office, the town center, the city hall. And that project was brought before council, and in resolution 2023-24, the resolution authorized the mayor to accept a grant and to execute a project award agreement with the county for the village's Chagrin River Road Public Sideway Extension Project, which would extend the sidewalk extension to the elementary school, et cetera, et cetera. You can find that on the public records. At that time, the mayor was able to receive an award later that year of $157,151, I believe, from the county to get this to be essentially the lead money on this project. My term in office has focused on getting the rest of the money that we needed for the project, and then asking the village engineer to draw up the plans that would accomplish that objective of connecting the lower school to the downtown center. So we solicited from 3 organizations and were successful at raising the rest of the money, which was over $100,000. So we have the $250,000 roughly in the bank. That is not all for the sidewalk. Some of that is for downtown lighting, so we have to go through the details if we want to get to that level. Since that time, Chris Courtney and his firm have put together the sidewalk plan. Basically, it calls for, and before you comment, we'll talk about an alternative to that, and then I'll ask council for any questions, and then we'll see whether there's questions or comments from the audience. So the plan was to connect the lower school parking lot by creating a sidewalk on the east side of River Road that would start at the lower school parking lot, proceed south to essentially to short of Colvin, cross over Colvin to the west side of River Road, and cross over and proceed south, crossing over Glenwood in front of the property at 1440 River Road. I only know that because I used to live there. And then crossing the creek that would get us to the parking lot, and the sidewalk would continue in front of the community center. And that was viewed as within the budget and the way we would go. We sent letters to several of the affected homeowners earlier in the year. I think we sent them twice, perhaps 3 times, to be transparent with what we were doing and to make the plans available. I know we briefed council on this once or twice as well with the plans. In short, where we're at this point is comments have been received from several residents that question why we need to do this. Is it in the right place? What about the old tree? What about my fence? Is that the best place to cross? Is there enough safety distance between the drivers and the pedestrians? And all good questions. As of 2 weeks ago, one resident sent me a number of emails that used the word safety about 6 times, and I called him on a Sunday afternoon and essentially said, neither you or I are safety experts, but since you've raised this so many times, I can't let it sit in my file without any attention, for fear that something does happen, and then we have problems that we, as council people or mayors or elected officials, ignored it. So I'm going to hire a safety consultant, and he or she, it's a she actually, will conclude whether the plan design is safe or not safe as a sidewalk. And so I asked the village engineer to find such a firm. He found such a firm. They did on-site work. They looked at the plans. They walked the site, and as of 2:00 this afternoon, they sent us a report and a conclusion that the sidewalk that's designed is safe. So this is not a safety issue. It may be an aesthetics issue. And let's just be clear on what the issues are, okay? So where we're at this point is we have on the agenda 2 items that we were asking for council's approval tonight. We may change those in a minute. One was to award the sidewalk construction contract to the lowest bidder, which we've received. And that would have the sidewalk proceed, as I just mentioned, start at the school parking lot, head south on River Road, cross over before Colvin, cross over Glenwood, cross 1440, go over the pedestrian bridge, go over the bridge with the pedestrian bridge, end up in the parking lot where you parked. The second contract would be to put out the contract for the pedestrian bridge. That has a longer manufacturer lead time, so we do need to get that ordered if we want to have any chance of having this done this year. When the safety consultant gave us the report, they also said, you know, there's actually even a little safer way. And that is presented in your map that you have in your places today. I just got that again in the last 24 hours. That would actually have the sidewalk proceeding and the crosswalk proceeding farther south on the east side, almost to the corner of Colvin, and crossing over Colvin to River and then River to Glenwood. The comments were that essentially it's safer to have pedestrian crosswalks at road intersections because people go to watch for the lights, to slow down, they're slowing down for turns. It's a little odd to have a sidewalk crosswalk in the middle of a span of area as opposed to at a road. So they're actually suggesting bringing the sidewalk crossover right to the corner of Colvin and River. That actually has some appeal. Part of the appeal is that it allows the current traffic of students which walk down Colvin Road, not to the parking lot, but they walk down Colvin Road to River, they cross over there, and then they proceed on the west side of River Road. And perhaps you don't need the sidewalk at all in front of the east side of River Road. Now that the students are going to likely walk down Colvin, they can just gather at that corner, wait for the sidewalk to turn, sign to turn, and cross over at that time. So that is worth studying. And we have just, again, gotten that in the last day or two. So I would like to take a look at that, and perhaps that'll satisfy some of the concerns of one or two of the neighbors about, are we putting in more sidewalks than we need? But again, that would have to weigh in with the help of a safety person. Okay? So that's where we're at. If council has questions or comments, happy to hear them. Then after that, I'll see whether there's anything from the audience.
So Steve, thank you for the background history and bringing us up to the present. I know, having been on council during that period of time, I, along with other members of council, were supportive of this project. However, the devil's always in the details, and being able to see for the first time the schema here of what the plan is very helpful. In walking this area myself, I too questioned the need for a sidewalk on the east side of River Road from Colvin down to the school parking lot. Not many individuals walk down there. The kids, I understand from talking to the school that children walk down Colvin to River Road, as you said, and then down into the village. Certainly a crosswalk is really important, and the positioning of that for safety is important, and it seems like you've done that work. The bridge also is very important because we all know how close it is on the west side to the road, and that's been an issue for many, many years. My question, I guess, at this point has to do, so anyway, that's my kind of observations, comments about the plan. My question, I guess, has to do with that crosswalk and what all is planned in terms of signage, lighting, street markings, et cetera. I think that's important for us to know, both from a safety and an aesthetic perspective.
Well, let me before we do want to Can we get all the questions, then we can figure out the answers?
I have a
collectively.
question, Steve. My recollection, this has been under discussion, as you pointed out, back to the prior administration. My recollection is when we first talked about this, the cost of this project was well under 100,000. And now all of a sudden, if I got the numbers right that you threw out earlier, we're talking about something on the order of 300,000. And there's new ideas on the table, which no doubt will cause that number to go further.
There,
up.
there is no 300,000. I didn't mention that. I mentioned 250 as a combination of the construction cost of the sidewalk and the lighting. And the sidewalk portion of that, exclude the lighting, is about 219.
I think what you said is you had a grant for 157, and the delta over and above the grant that we would pay for was a number over 100,000.
Well,
Let's get
157 and 100 is 257. It's not 300. Why don't we just get the right numbers? Okay?
Well, you said over 100,000. You didn't say what it was.
255,656, okay? That includes the lighting. So, and I don't know anything about less than 100,000. I don't recall anything like that. This has always been a six-figure project.
And that's my recollection as well. I think the initial discussions on the bridge were somewhere 60 to 70,000 just for the cost of the bridge. And that's whatever, 48 on this. And I guess the only comment I would have on all of this is, and I don't want to speak for the, prior administration, is that Ohio Bell, the old Ohio Bell building that's next to the school parking lot, that the village owns that building. And there were discussions at some point a number of years ago to clean that out and potentially rent that out to somebody. Whether that use or what that use would be was to be determined. And the point was the sidewalk would effectively get you from potentially that business all the way into the village. And so, to your point, if that former Ohio Bell building, something else ends up happening with it, and if the students are really coming down Colvin, I would agree maybe that section of the sidewalk isn't necessary anymore, because that, and again, I haven't gone through the minutes, but I have a pretty good recollection that that's what was part of the reason driving that sidewalk down there, was the students, and also to be able to service that building, or if we decided to do something else with it at some point in time.
Thank you. Lori?
Yeah, so we did give Chagrin Valley Gig a right of first refusal to lease or buy that. So, but who knows if they'll, the grant then, Steve, are there any restrictions on it? Like, can we sort of plan this the way we want, or are there timing?
There are no, I'll say, use or operating restrictions. The grant money does need to be spent by the end of 26.
By the end of 26, okay. And then maybe Chris, at some point when you're answering all the questions, could describe how the bridge piece works? How that protects pedestrians?
Can you answer that in a minute? Okay.
Yeah, if you could, describe. Thank you.
Okay.
Steve, an observation and a question. I agree with Sandra that the stretch of sidewalk from Colvin North is not necessary. Kids can get to and from downtown by just using the Colvin Road. And if they're in the car park and want to get to downtown, they can walk up the stairs to the school and down Colvin Road. So I don't see any need for the stretch of sidewalk north of Colvin on the east side of Chagrin River Road. Just my observation.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing the question is, I understood that some of this grant or this money we had was ARP money, which has a time limit on it, and that we're approaching that time limit. That's just what I've heard. I don't know.
Cuyahoga County gave us a grant, and it was their ARPA money.
Okay, so it has the same restriction on it.
Needs to be
Fine.
appropriated by the end of 24, which it was, and spent by the end of 26, which is why we're here today.
Okay, end of 26. Okay, so there's no sort of pressing
No.
time constraint. Okay, thank you.
John?
Can I get someone to describe to me the parking lot to traverse from the parking lot, the school parking lot, to the school. Can someone describe that to me? And you can do it at the time of when everyone's answering questions, or if you want to do that now. I just want to know how kids get from the parking lot to the school right now.
So there's two ways. I believe parent drop off is at the lower school parking lot and the kids walk up the stairs and down the stairs. I believe bus parking and all the people that live on Colvin are about to correct me or correct their situation. I believe the buses generally go up Colvin to the school, go in the semicircle and drop the kids off there. Is that generally correct?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
But if people are going for an event or something from the parking lot to the school, right now they have two choices. They can walk down the road or they have to use stairs, period. Okay, so you see where I'm going to go with this, because I'm trying to get ADA compliance with everything that's in our buildings downtown. And if we have wheelchairs or we have strollers right now, how do they get to the school from the parking lot?
They would have to go up Colvin and get dropped off at the
So-
circle.
Okay, so right now we actually have the ability, so you'll find me pretty passionate about this. Right now, we actually have the ability and the funding and the process in place to put in ADA capabilities to get from the parking lot to the school, of which they're linked. And we can do that right now with what we have. And if we're talking about taking that out now and saying, well, it was nice, we almost had ADA compatibility, but now we're not, we're going to rip it out. You'll find me be really passionate against that. I'm all for putting in that capability to get people to the school. So I just want to make sure that I don't have this wrong. If we put the sidewalk in and someone's in a wheelchair, they can go from the parking lot to the school and not hit any stairs.
John, there's a parking lot
No.
at the school up top.
Right.
Behind the school, there's a parking lot.
Yeah.
But who's parking in the one that's down below?
It's excess, it's overflow. All the handicap spots are up behind the school,
Okay, but
between where the school is and the gym.
strollers,
Yes,
so there's enough room for parents.
lots of parking up there, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah, and John, this, I mean, to maneuver a wheelchair from the lower lot down this up Colvin, Colvin is very narrow. I mean, it's really narrow. When you see two expeditions, one coming one way and they're going the other way, and it's always a question, are they gonna fit? So it would be, there are much safer ways to make access, ADA access at the school than that's
Well, and this was never intended to be ADA.
right.
Well, ADA, just accessibility. I guess I probably shouldn't say ADA, just
Okay.
accessibility, easy accessibility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, or can we have Chris answer Sandra's questions, other questions? Chris?
Thank you very much. First of all, just a point of order, I guess, in relation to running the sidewalk up to the parking lot. It's my understanding that's where the pickup and drop off occurs for the summer camp much of the time. So running the sidewalk all the way up to the school parking lot was done so that when that drop off and pickup occurs during the summertime, there would be access from the parking lot all the way up to the community building. Right now, the kids walk along the edge of the street, and then they cross over once they get down to Colvin, and they walk in the grass up to the school parking lot. So
Thanks.
a little different than school time pedestrian activity. The crosswalks at Colvin, there would be it would be across Chagrin River Road, and then also across Glenwood at that same point. They would be painted. And there would be ODOT compliant pedestrian signals that would be up, that would be on demand. It's not a stoplight, but if somebody pushes the button, the lights are going to flash and warn oncoming traffic, both northbound and southbound, that there is a pedestrian ready to enter into the crosswalk. That is predominantly the way the crosswalks are identified. Although not shown on these plans, I think we should probably put up some crosswalk ahead signs in either approach coming northbound and southbound to give that little bit of advance warning as well.
Okay, thank you. No other questions from council?
About the bridge. Right now, when the kids cross the creek, they walk in the street on the bridge for the road. This will be a pedestrian bridge that will be set behind the guardrail of that bridge on the west side of the road and will be linked on either end by the sidewalk. So anybody walking across the creek now, if the sidewalk goes in, will not have to walk in the street. They'll be able to go across a pedestrian bridge.
Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Please come up one at a time and identify your name. Here's a microphone right here. We don't want a street address with a number, just name and street.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Birnbaum. I live at on Colvin and Chagrin River Road. First of all, I didn't want to throw Chris under the bus, but he came to my house and said, I'm going to do this project whether you like it or not. That's not how you approach. You sure did. You sure did. You sure did. You definitely did. Okay, I didn't want to say.
Jim, why don't we keep it to the facts?
All right, so I did prepare some stuff. That basically, I was going to say that it's truly a special property and truly a special community. Living here surrounded by the metro parks feels like a privilege. Gates Mills has a charm and aesthetic unlike anywhere else in the suburbs. The people here are exceptional. Even our police embody that same spirit and friendliness and care. It often feels like a more refined Mayberry RFD, and I say that with the highest compliment. With that in mind, let me address the summer camp program, because that's what this is about, summer camp, 5 or 6 weeks a year. Children are dropped off at the school. This is what I witness. I live there. I see it every day. They drop them off at the school, they play at the school playground, and then walk down Colvin in small groups, 6 or 8, always accompanied by adult supervision, always. The only cars that go up and down Colvin are those of the people that live there, myself, Evans, Jamie. There's about 6 families that live there. We're already cautious. And in 50 years, there has never been a single safety incident. I understand why you want to do this. The latest proposal suggests a crosswalk at Colvin to allow children to safely cross Chagrin River Road. If that is the path forward, I believe there are simple, sensible options. Advanced signage, which is what we're talking about now, to warn drivers, or you can actually add a crossing guard for those periods, because we're talking about 5 or 6 weeks. It isn't for the entire school year. But I could tell you there has never, not even one child walked down Chagrin River Road. That's not true, Chris. They don't walk from the parking lot to downtown. It doesn't happen. They go up the stairs, they walk down Colvin. Evans knows this, Jamie anybody who lives there will tell you the same thing. It's a very safe, putting them on Chagrin River Road and walking down is very unsafe. And aesthetically, you're gonna ruin the entire ambience of this neighborhood. I mean, this isn't the suburbs. I live in the metro parks. I live in a very special home. I'm very passionate about it. It's a huge expense and it doesn't belong for this neighborhood. The cost is worth mentioning because if someone was going to use that, you're talking about 1 or 2 periods, July 4th, somebody might park there and walk downtown, but it isn't something that's going to be used. It is something that people are going to see, a concrete sidewalk coming down the Chagrin River Road, which was never there, and there's no purpose for it because nobody walks there. But I invite, David walked it, Sandra walked it, and both of them just said that there's no need for it. Anybody who walks the area, sees my property, goes down on a slope, put a sidewalk there. I don't know what's going to happen with erosion. I don't know how, it's going to affect my property. If someone's going to slip, fall, if I'm liable, who's going to take care of it? It's just unappealing all the way around and it doesn't serve a purpose. It's literally a waste of money. And for me to come here and stand before you, you know that I don't normally come to these meetings. I feel not a need for that. I trust you, but I don't think there was a lot of transparency, the way it was handled. And that's why I appreciate that Sandra took the time and David took the time and the mayor took the time to come. And you understand what I'm saying, but if you actually lived there and you saw how the children walk, it is so safe. You're actually putting them in harm's way by adding sidewalk next to the street where there's no curbs. And it's just an area where it's not safe to have a sidewalk and it won't look right. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so we can hear from others. Jared?
Evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Council, Chris. Jared Capella. I'm owner of 1440 Chagrin River Road. Based on the plans, I think you can tell that our property is going to be obviously the most impacted. Yours. My question is, and Mayor and Chris, thank you for meeting with me last, I guess it was about a month ago for over an hour to answer all my questions. When we met at that time, we had talked about moving the utility pole so that if you look at the plans right now, when the sidewalk does cross Colvin, there's a big kink, and that's to avoid the utility pole. If that utility pole can be moved back and the sidewalk can proceed, perpendicular to the street, I think one, aesthetically it'd look a lot better, but it would also prevent the demolition of our fence. So just wondering where the status is on that.
Chris has looked into that. Chris? You're talking, yeah, your fence would be parallel to the sidewalk then.
Yeah.
Sure. As we discussed at the meeting, we bid the sidewalk straightened out and not touching your fence as an alternate. And we have also, right after that meeting, reached out to First Energy, who is very quick to respond as usual, about a cost to move the pole. We made that request a month ago, within a day or two after we met. I got an update from them this morning saying that it sometimes takes them up to 6 months to generate a number, which is ludicrous. I appealed to them to try to get us a number sooner rather than later so that we can have a discussion with you about that and what the cost of moving the pole and how that relates to the benefit of leaving the fence alone, so we can weigh those two things.
Okay.
So we're merely waiting on a response from First Energy, and we have bid the project without touching your fence as an alternate item.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. The other question I had was, driving through the village, I realized that, the sidewalks on Old Mill Road are brick sidewalks, which
Right.
if God forbid this project does move forward, would you guys be willing to do a brick sidewalk so that it matches the look and feel of the rest of the village?
We'd take a hard look at that and I'd be inclined to do so.
Okay. And then I just will state, I'll reiterate what,
This would be consistent then with kind of the red brick that's in, what you're saying, with Old Mill,
yeah, an Old Mill when you're,
by the Historical Society and so on.
yeah, by the Hunt Club.
Okay.
I just think it would, if you are putting a sidewalk in, it would look better than concrete. And
Okay.
Be more consistent with the look and feel of the village. I did also, request a safety report for the last 10 years, and there have been no incidents between any pedestrian walking between the school and the village. So to me, as a resident here and owner of the most impacted property, it sounds like you're spending a lot of money to solve a problem that doesn't exist. So I just want that to kind of be considered by the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize, not to throw the doctor under the bus, but I've been the engineer out here for 20 years and never, ever have I told somebody that this project is going in and there's nothing you can do about it. I did not, and I think all the people at this table can attest to knowing me for the last 20 years that that's not the way that I operate. If that's the way you took it, I sincerely apologize, and I never said that. Thank you.
Chris, while you're up there, I have a question. Well, and maybe it's for Gerald. Now, when the kids walk on the west side across the bridge, they would go, Gerald, onto his property on the grass. And
They
then
generally
cross on
walk
each
along the
bus?
berm of the road. The kids, if they're walking from the summer camp, I was down here on a dozen different occasions and watched them in the morning and the afternoon when they arrived and they dismissed. Generally, there's a line of children. They're holding hands.
Mhm.
They have a counselor in front of them and behind them. And then they have, depending on the length of the line of kids, they have 2 or 3 other counselors on the street side of them as they walk. So they're
Okay,
very
on-
careful.
On the berm.
And they walk on the berm of the road and then they cross at Colvin and then they walk.
And I've seen that too. Okay, so definitely a sidewalk over there. Thank you.
Evening, everyone. I'm Ariel Capella. My husband just talked and he took everything I wanted to say. Obviously, that's why our marriage works. But I'm the house right on the other side of the fence, 1440, which is obviously the house where this sidewalk is going to impact the most, it sounds like. So I just wanted to add a couple of things. First of all is regarding our fence that you had mentioned and moving it. That is our main stretch of grass. We have 2 little kids, 4 and 7. That's where we play catch. That's where we kick a soccer ball. As everyone knows, it's a big slope going down this road, and our other 2 grass spots aren't quite usable for those things. So besides doing a slip and slide. So that patch of grass, if we were to move the fence in, we'd be losing a lot.
I don't think there's any proposal to move the fence in.
Okay. Okay. If the pole gets moved, yeah. Okay. Okay. Also, I have a 4 and a 7-year-old and we come and use the playground and go to the library and everything. And I'm walking that all the time, even with my stroller and my puppy. And yes, there is that one section by the bridge, which gets a little close, especially because you're going with traffic. The chief could probably speak to this, who's my neighbor too, that, there's a sign right there, the speed limit sign that's catching people, or hopefully deterring people from going faster than the speed limit there, and slowing them down. So I agree that additional signage for children crossing or putting in a speed bump maybe to slow people down as coming into the village when it turns from 35 to 25, that might be useful. I also think a crossing guard would be a great idea in terms of cost effectiveness, and it is such a minimal amount of time. I am at home, so I see after school, there's very few kids after school that would ever come down Colvin and go into town, especially it's an elementary school. So I think a lot are with parents and get driven, or I don't see a lot of foot traffic there. And my son also went to the Gates Mills camp. So we saw, well, and even before then, I saw the traffic every single day from the camp. And to Chris's point, the counselors are phenomenal. They are in front, behind, stopping traffic crossing the street. So it does seem that the campers, if this is the main issue for them, are very protected, especially if it is just that one section where the bridge kind of narrows. So just wanted to share a little insight from the mom across the street in Mayor's old house.
Thank you. Well, I can appreciate that because my wife with our 4 kids with strollers and buggies and dogs walked probably every day across that bridge, hoping that a car wouldn't come by and clip them on their way to the post office or to Rabbits or to the general store or what have you. I'm happy to see the pedestrian bridge. I think that's a smart thing to do. I think the kids will enjoy that. It's going to be much safer. Jamie.
I'm back. I happen to live in that stretch on Colvin. I haven't seen plans for a sidewalk. I don't actually know what they look like. I was just gonna frequent walker between Colvin and downtown. The area we mentioned here, the bridge especially, is dangerous. I mean, you got inches on each side, and I have a dog, but also walk with my dad. My dad kind of walks a little bit crooked sometimes, and like, Dad, don't go 6 inches. So these people don't slow down, or they slow down a little bit, but 25, it hitting, it's still going to be damaged. So I don't know what the solution is, but I just want to I do think that there is a safety issue there. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Chris, just a Quick question. So we've got crossing points in the village now. In front of the Hunt Club across Epping, the sidewalk is there. We've got a number of crossing areas in the village center here that aren't marked, don't have on-demand flashing lights. And so I'm just curious why that's a requirement in this type of a situation and it's not elsewhere in the village. Okay.
Betsy?
So I'm Betsy. I think I know everybody except for you. You're the newbie.
Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, so I just want to clarify, at the outset, I want to clarify something. So I heard the mayor state that there was a safety assessment done and it was hot off the press today, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did the safety assessment address, it sounded to me that there were two different versions, that there was one with a closer setback and then there was a subsequent amended version of the plan which had a further back setback. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so the safety assessment was for the second or for the first and second?
It actually was for both, but
Okay,
since the second was their preferred way to go, we copied and gave those to council today.
okay, just wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure that I fully understood that. Okay, so I live on Brigham Road. I live nowhere near this area, but I am a taxpayer, as all of us are in this room. I don't know about Dave Bigger, but whatever. He's an employee. All right, so has there been any assessment or any figures provided for repair and maintenance of the sidewalk?
Of the sidewalk that we're talking about,
Proposed sidewalk?
repair and maintenance or maintenance, no.
No. As a taxpayer, I think that's important to receive. I don't personally like the concept of accepting a grant without, and for a specific purpose, without knowing what our taxpayer responsibilities will be at some point in the future. I acknowledge that it doesn't seem to be a significantly large area, but the reality is there are trees, the roots can destroy the sidewalk. Are we going to destroy trees by virtue of the fact that we're erecting a sidewalk? I don't know. It's not a rhetorical question. There may be an answer. Might be some unknown variables to consider. This is just me, brainstorming out loud. But I'm curious about that information.
Okay, we could
Okay,
look
and
into
then,
that.
thank you. And then another question is, so we are obviously in the Mayfield City School District. Has there been any other sidewalk erected within the Mayfield City School District so that the children can walk to a library?
I don't know that. We can check. I would
Okay.
think that most of the schools in the Mayfield School District probably have sidewalks and crossings and markings.
To a library, though? Because that's, if I understand this correctly.
Well, it's to the city center, which is the library, which is this building for summer camp, which is town hall, which is Marston Park.
But we're talking, maybe I misunderstood. Aren't we talking about erecting the sidewalk for the purpose of getting the children from the school to the library?
No,
So then what is the entire purpose?
get them from the school to downtown.
Okay, so do the children regularly go to Addie's Cup? I'm just thinking downtown.
The children go to Marston Park. They can go with their parents.
How often do they go with their parents? So that's an after-school activity, right? It's not a school activity. They don't go to the park with their school teachers, right?
Betsy, I don't know what the school activities, we'd have to get the
I mean,
principal.
since I am a
Yeah.
taxpayer, I think it's important to
Sure.
have these questions answered. I'm not about frivolous spending of money. I understand there's a grant, but there's also responsibilities that develop subsequent to the
Sure.
receipt of a grant. And as a taxpayer, I want to know specifically, as I just heard.
Well, we can get the cost to operate and maintain
Okay.
100-foot sidewalk. Chris, how long is that sidewalk on 1440? Okay, 140 feet of sidewalk. We'll get the cost to maintain that.
Okay.
Okay?
And then also a very clear purpose. I just, honestly, I have an issue with erecting a sidewalk so that parents, so that we can facilitate parents walking their children to the park after school. Like that, if money is going to help children to learn, I'm all for it. But if, as a taxpayer, and I understand there's a grant, you know, again, I know I keep saying that, but I understand it's a grant, right? But if we're going to be, if the citizens of this community are going to be subsequently financially responsible for a structure that benefits parents that don't even live in this village, because very few children that live in this village actually attend the school. I think we all can acknowledge that. I don't think that's wise expenditures of our taxpayer money. So I do have an issue with that. So that is,
Thank you.
those are my concerns, and that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sean?
So good evening. I'm Sean O'Hagan. I'm a resident of Gates Mills. I'll withhold my address, but live on Colvin Road with my family, my 10-year-old son, my wife, and my dog. We walk around the village a lot. So we're pedestrians a lot, but we have our eyes open. So I thank you all for considering this. I thank you for having considered it over a long period of time. I've been excited for this project for years and remember coming to voice my support as we were considering resolutions to accept the county money. And I appreciate, you considering the varied feedback that you're getting here tonight. I want to share, just as I've been listening, some other pieces of information and observations that I think are relevant. First of all, when you're traveling southbound on Mayfield Road, so you're up that direction coming towards the village, you're familiar with where the 25-mile-per-hour sign is. And sometimes we have the digital reminder there. Until you hit that sign, it's 45 miles an hour. Which if you
I hear you.
Which
Yeah,
is shocking.
Oh.
Okay. When you also contemplate that there is a rise in that elevation, so when you consider this part of the street to the crosswalks that are in town, I'm 6'3". I'm a pretty visible person. The number of times I've had cars rip by me on that road on a Sunday afternoon when the village center is empty, and then get to the minimally signed crosswalks and be so startled that they stop at the crosswalk when nobody is there because they realize how close they were to hitting me. I mean, it happens like 10 times a year. So you've got a dramatic speed change. You've got really poor visibility. In a month or two, it's going to be dark at 5 o'clock. It should be reasonable to walk around our village at 5 o'clock with a modicum of safety. And the visibility just goes away for 4 months of the year. And then, you've got weather. And so I'm really excited about the crosswalk. I'm really excited about the bridge. I really think about strollers and what it's like to have to navigate before the section of sidewalk connecting the post office to the pedestrian bridge across the river was put in. We navigated that section of the village center with a stroller, and it was awful. You were either slanted in the grass and off-roading, or you were up on the street. I'll just share two more things. I think the camp does an amazing job. I also think that the camp consists of a group of teenagers, and there's a lot of times we've observed them doing exceptionally well. And I also observed once this year a 6-year-old running by themselves across the street, and the nearest counselor was like 50 feet away. And honestly, I was scared and I was not surprised. And finally, the last thing I'll share is I think a good reason that the school is probably not making the trip down the road is because it's not safe. And if I was teaching a science lesson in that school, and I could get to Chagrin River safely, not with a ratio of 10 camp counselor, or of 10 kids to 2 camp counselors, everybody holding hands, but with a ratio of 20 kids to 1 teacher. If I could do that safely, I would be down there doing life science in that river. And I wouldn't dream of doing it right now with what I know about the conditions. So it's a very exciting project. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time. This is a really high impact change that we're considering for safety and what it means to be in our village.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could say something for 1 minute.
Yeah.
I also live at the end of Colvin Road, most removed from this project. In my walking, I do feel that that intersection of Colvin and River is dangerous. I remember when there was a flashing traffic light there, which we were pretty up in arms when they took that away probably 20 years ago. But in going back to the grant and the original program, it was my understanding that this was not just camp. This was, as Sean just said, the children at Gates Mills Elementary would have a lot of resources in the town center and the river that they could have access to if we could get them there safely.
Right. Thank you. Steve, any comments? I think I saw your hand go up.
Steve Walensky. I don't live down this part of town, but I'm down here pretty often, at least 4 days a week walking my dog. And we're always going across that bridge and always heading toward, sometimes go all the way to Mayfield Road. My assessment is I've never, in the morning, never, ever seen a kid try to get across from the village over to the school, ever. Now, I don't know what happens after school, because I'm never down here at that point, but never in the morning do I ever see it. I'm down here 7:15, 7:30. I'm at Addie's Cup all the time. We never see any kids. Any kids who show up in the village, their parents are dropping them off at the coffee shop and they're driving them over to the school. So even the kids that were going to camp, the parents were driving them over to the camp. So the idea of, I'm not quite sure what you were talking about with the pedestrian bridge, maybe a little bridge that, you know, just that narrow part that goes over the road there. But I'm not sure you need a sidewalk, personally. I mean, I can think of a lot of other places in the village that are a lot more dangerous, where people are driving 45, 50 miles an hour on 25-mile-an-hour roads, where, my pet peeve is, Greg will know, is Gates Mills Boulevard, where we don't enforce 1 lane. And, and I walk there the other 3 days I'm not down in the village, I walk there. I can't even tell you how many near misses I've seen with bicycles and pedestrians, because people whipping around and trying to pass each other on that road. So, my sense is this might be a nice to do thing, not a need to do thing. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. If you can just put that little pedestrian bridge over there to help people get across that one narrow section, that would probably do it. If you think that little narrow section is the problem, fix that. Don't try to make it a mountain out of a molehill. That's my personal view.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Well, thank you all for participating and for joining us this evening. So I think where I'm at, and we'll see how council wants to proceed, is that I think I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the bridge so that we can get that ordered. I didn't hear anybody object to that. And several have raised safety concerns personally. And I think with regard to the construction of the sidewalk, I think I'd like to hold off on that and take a look at the revised report that came this afternoon, along with the revised drawings, which I gave council, but no one's had a chance to study those. And meet with Jim and others, Jared and Ariel, and I think that's probably the only directly affected neighbors, and make sure that we can get some sense on the pole, some answer on that, some sense on the paving and what pavers would run versus stamped concrete. And Jim, you and I talked this afternoon around 3 o'clock. If we started the sidewalk at the northeast corner of Colvin, as opposed to running it further up north, what that would look like. And let us, if you're okay with that, come back with those three answers. There may be a few other questions that get raised or answered in between, and come back to council at the next meeting for action on that piece. Is that a fair way to proceed? Okay, so if I can, a motion from someone to approve. Where are we at here? Janet, I'm out of order again.
It's a resolution that's already in, right? That we're just.
Yes.
We're just voting on that resolution? I'll move 35. Move to suspend the rules.
Thank you. You have a second for suspension of the rules on 2035.
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Any discussion? Roll call.
Go ahead.
I say, I
get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't.
you got it. We'll go through the bridge no matter what. If we extend the sidewalk or truncate it at Jim's house.
Still need the bridge.
Roll call.
Well, so again, so this would just be the bridge and then,
It'd be the bridge we need to order, which has lead time.
right, does there have to be a little piece, I mean, whether it's sidewalk or no sidewalk to get, right?
I think there's going to be a sidewalk going in front of 1440 and sidewalk going on the other side of the bridge by the community center. The question is where do we stop the sidewalk going north?
Right, I think at this point, so you know, we've got the sidewalk project stopping about 10 feet either side of where the bridge would go. And then we're gonna purchase the bridge directly, so we don't have a middleman. And then the bridge abutments, and then that 10-foot piece of sidewalk on either side would be done as a separate quote, because that'll be less than $75,000. And we don't want to pick that work yet and have a contractor do it, because we need to get the bridge ordered first, so we know what foundation system we're going with.
So what we're saying here is we order the bridge, Chris, and then the lines on this drawing would be
Right,
right
well-
here would be the,
Right, on the improvement plans, we actually stopped the sidewalk. We actually stopped the bridges here. We actually stopped the sidewalk about 10 feet short of the bridge on both sides with the sidewalk project, and then the bridge and the abutments, and then that little 10-foot piece of walk on either side is a part of the bridge project. We're just buying the bridge, and then we'll have a separate contract, abutments and the connector. Side. Just so we stop short enough to give the bridge contractor room to build the abutments, not disturb the sidewalk, get the bridge in place without disturbing the sidewalk.
Chris, are we still debating east side of the river or east side of River Road versus west side?
No,
west.
west. That's where it's so narrow.
And frankly, to Steve Walensky's comment a minute ago, maybe all you do is the bridge.
Well, that's, but
You
thing
know,
is, so
you
then how
might end up on Ariel's grass, okay, but if we don't use microphones, we can't hear people talk. Just, you're welcome to stand up and address it. Okay, so,
what I'm saying is, so we have to, there's gonna be ingress and egress on and off the bridge. So, I mean, it's not just if we order the bridge, we just can't slap the bridge up there. So, I mean, we're necessarily committing to at least some,
we're committing to the bridge and 10 feet on either side of the bridge to approach the bridge.
right. Right, ingress and egress on and off. Well, on the north side, is that on village property? That's really, Right up against 1440 then. Then that piece, just where it would come off so you could get in the park.
The reason that the bridge is on the west side of Chagrin River Road is trying to locate it on the east side of Chagrin River Road. There's some elevation problems on the opposite side of the street that the ground adjacent to the roadway is higher than the roadway. So to put the bridge in over there, then you'd have to get involved with additional clearing and grading in order to create a flat spot in order to access the bridge. The existing topography on the west side is accommodating to putting the bridge in and not having to do a minimum amount of clearing and grading.
Okay, so we were just having a roll call on the emergency question. Is there further conversation on that? I'm sorry, the suspension question. Okay, roll call on the question of suspending the rules.
Acton,
Yes.
Broom,
No. No.
Deacon,
No, I think we should put it on.
UNESCO,
Why don't you explain to John what suspending the rules means?
I got it.
Got that? Okay.
I'll say no.
Press,
I'm a no.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
It's 4 no's and 3.
Okay. All right, so we didn't suspend the rules, so we will bring this to the next meeting. I don't know why I would do that. Okay, we'll bring this back we'll consider this then the first reading on both of those resolutions, and we'll be back at this for next meeting. Thank you.
So, Mayor, a question on just doing the bridge, then would that come out of the grant money?
Yes.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, so what we'll do next time is I will bring back, because Betsy had the question of what it costs to operate a 140-foot sidewalk. And we will meet with those neighbors that make themselves available on the question of the aesthetics, not the safety, the aesthetics of the sidewalk that would go from the bridge north across Glenwood, cross over River Road, and end on the east side of River Road at Dr. Birnbaum's house, which is the bottom of Colvin. So kids could then, and parents and students and others, 12 months out of the year, not just 6 months or 6 weeks, could walk down Colvin and be connected to the school that way. This does fall a bit short of the commitment that council made before about extending it to the school parking lot, just so we're clear on that.
That's actually my big issue here is that, and so this is well before my time, but coming from corporate America, this is probably one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen is that I'm sitting here listening to the fact that this was brought up in the previous mayor's. This was proposed then. It was worked all the way through to right now, and we are literally days away from, like being able to break ground on something like this, and we've just piecemealed part of it off. That's actually why I said no, is that we just piecemealed it into coming into place where, and I appreciate everybody coming, but everyone's coming at the very last minute where I don't know what happened in the last 4 or 5 years, but if this has been on the books for 4 or 5 years, and then we get down to the point where we're just about to vote on what I thought in the packet that I read in the plane coming here was we're going to vote on this wonderful sidewalk and bridge. And then on the last, this isn't even like the 11th hour. This is the 11th hour, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. We're piecemealing it off and now just going to have a bridge. What did we work 4 years for?
Well, we're having the bridge just so we can get the bridge ordered. We're not giving up on the sidewalk. We just want to get the bridge ordered because it has lead time.
Okay, it definitely felt to me like we were going to say, okay, well, we're just going to stop at the bridge. And
No,
that's all we're,
that doesn't fulfill the project that we've committed to,
okay,
either as council or contractually. We committed to a contract to connect the school.
okay. Then I don't know why we would separate them. I think we should just vote on it.
Only because of time. But, and out of respect, frankly, of the neighbors that have said, how about the aesthetics? How about red? How about signs? How far in does this go? Is this 2 feet off the street or 3 feet off the street? Those are the
And
safety questions.
Those are fantastic questions. I just wonder about, again, corporate America I'm coming from. I don't know how many years it's been, but if it's been, has it really been weeks? Like, then that is a problem with the process. But if the old mayor is the one who brought it up, then was it presented to the city? That's what I want to know about communication.
It was presented several years ago and passed in a resolution 23-24. This is not new.
Right, that's
Okay.
and that's my thing.
And-
It's like there's a breakdown somewhere. Like I expected to be voting on this today.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I think that, the issue for me and maybe for others is the devil in the details. Conceptually, we supported this. This is the first time we've seen a schematic. And the opportunity for residents to comment on that schematic.
Yeah, I think we should move on. I do believe we reached out to the neighbors, Jim, more than a few weeks ago. I want to say it was January, February. I think I sent registered letters to 3 or 4 of the addresses. Jared and Ariel are saying yes, they're nodding head. So this is not something that we just sprung on somebody last week to say, oh, what do you think of this? Perhaps that one didn't get to you. Maybe you didn't see the mail. Okay, we're not going to rediscuss. We spent an hour on this, so let us come back. I just summarized what I'm going to do. Let me come back in a month, okay, with what I just said I would come back with. Okay?
and my issue is not at all. My issue is that I think that there's been a competent council that has done it over 5 years. And so please, I'm not for or against. I just that I'm coming in at an area where I expected to vote on something, and let's say it's been 5 years. I want to find out where the breakdown in communication was in 5 years, where we're just, when I expected to vote on something, all of a sudden we're putting the brakes on it. So that's neither for nor against, like what that is. It's just, there's a procedural thing here going on that I'd like to kind of delve into a little bit. And I think it can only be for the positive in terms of communication.
Okay, number 9C, we're going to move on. Thank you, John, for that. 25 road program, very simply, we believe we've substantially completed or have completely completed the road program, which included Hill Creek and Andrews. Subject to Chris adding any footnotes to that. We've done a little bit of patchwork on Colvin. It's going to need a fair amount of work next year. As we've talked about, we did ask Chris to arrange, and has since received a report on the road program from CMP, AMP.
PMG, Pavement Management Group, the whole village roadway assessment.
Right. And we're going to bring that to the service committee meeting sometime in September. I saw some emails today going, you guys sending stuff back, Dave or Chris, on some corrections to the report and then regrading the roads. So.
Correct. And this year's program, council awarded a contract of $850,000, and we should come in about 810.
Okay, thank you. So that's all I had. Financial report, you've seen the financial report. We continue to be in my mind, good financial shape. We are closer, frankly, we're even or better on municipal income taxes and on real estate taxes than last year. There were no large overages on the expense side. Those that have occurred are things like overtime, in the police department where we spent a fair amount of time supporting through overtime an officer that was out ill, as well as additional time in the fire department for the weekend manning, as we've talked about in the past. Are there any questions on the financial report?
I have one, Steve.
David?
Michael. The thing I was surprised at was that interest income is actually down year to date 17,000 relative to last year. Now, as most of us know, we have a laddered program. We're going from a period of low interest rates into a period of high interest rates. One would expect that interest income would be going up at this stage of the game, not going down. I wonder if perhaps Janet could explain what's going on.
One thing to note is that we record that when we receive those interest payments. So unlike a corporation that accrues its interest.
So it could be just timing?
Could be just timing, when interest payments were received. It's a good question. We'll check on that. Janet or I or Dix will get back to you. Any other questions on the financial report? Anything on the clerk's report?
No, nothing to report.
Dixon, anything on the treasurer's report?
No, I just have a brief update on the bond portfolio. Year-to-date, the return is 3.14, and year-to-date, the trailing year is 4.46. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but actually for a conservative bond portfolio, it's doing better than its benchmarks. The market value is 8,670,207. So I think we're in good shape there. To Michael's point, I would expect the income from that fund as these lower coupon bonds mature. We're investing the last purchases we've been made 5% coupons that we're buying at a discount. So that yield should improve on that portfolio.
Any questions of Dixon? Police chief report, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Everybody should have received a copy of my report. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Big jump in citations in July from May and June. Is there a reason for that?
Seasonality?
Seasonality. So if we looked at last year, we would have the same pattern, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we're learning a lot, and I think seasonality this time of the year is, the impetus behind it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Service Department report.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, you should have received a brief monthly report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If there are none, that would conclude my report.
A couple of questions, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
Point 3, the recycling rates we've got this year is what does it say here? 7%. What's sorry, 10.81 in 23 and 11% this year.
Yes.
What's a good number? I mean, what are the best to achieve?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. It could be good for us. Again, that's my point, to show we're doing better.
Yeah.
But to compare to some other city that has curbside, they're, 40% or 50%. They also do leaf pickup. They also do trees. So you can't really say, well, in comparison to anything else,
okay,
what's a good rate? It's really, for us, it's in comparison to the past. That's the best I guess I think.
And I wonder what was going on at 640. There's a lot of soil been moved.
Yes.
Not much else.
Yes. And so I did, I think I copied the mayor, and I did ask the contractor, because I noticed that, once again, we started and then the brakes came on. So I asked the contractor if he could provide me with a brief, limited schedule along, benchmarks with timing. He came back today saying, well, Nick insisted on doing the excavation, the footers, and the brickwork himself. So we're back into the same, with Nick being involved, back in the same. But apparently Mark has gotten his
Mason, and I believe he said that he would be there Friday. Okay. So hopefully we'll get back on track again.
And the permit was issued when, a few weeks ago now? roughly?
Yeah, I
The
want,
last council meeting, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
I think they've got 9 months on that.
yes. Yep. That concludes
Okay,
my report.
thank you. There's a fire department report which you have, Tom left to work with the crew that just was here, and a little bit of celebration for the two new cadets along with the staff that was here. So if you have any questions, send them a note or send me a note and we'll get you answers on the fire department. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, committee department reports, broadband. Laurie, can you share a few minutes with us?
Sure. The information and engagement phase is continuing. You may have noticed information in the pink sheet that CVG had the July, August. They're going to be a sponsor of the 5K Foxtrot that's being held on September 21st. And then office hours will begin in September on Wednesdays from 4 to 6, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 24th of September. I know they were hoping to get that into the September pink sheet, which I think is due tomorrow. The office hours will be over in Village Hall. And the engineering studies are underway. Still expecting construction to begin as of first of the year. Oh, no, did Chris leave? Okay, all right. I know he's working with CVG on the engineering studies in that phase of the engineering. That's about it.
Where's the office going to be?
I'm sorry?
Where's the office going to be? You talked about.
The office hours, just over in the old council chambers in Village Hall. They'll be there between 4 and 6. So hopefully people will show up and ask questions.
In Lori, would that be when you could sign up?
Not yet, not yet, because construction's not going to begin until January, just kind of a long period, and it'll probably take 12 to 18 months. So just so people don't get anxious, they signed up, but what's happening? So they'll be doing it in phases. The village buildings will be done first. And I don't know, John, do you have anything to add?
No, I actually, the last month there hasn't been too much in terms of communication back and forth. Just waiting for them to start.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Tree canopy report, Sandra or David? Any comments?
We were unsuccessful applying for a county grant to help us do some planning for our tree cleanup. We had a very constructive conversation just this afternoon, Mayor and myself, Bass. And although we didn't win a grant, they're there to help us put together our own planning effort and are prepared to help us starting in the 4th quarter. So I'm optimistic about it. Other than that, that's all.
Thank you. Scott, any high-level comments on the wastewater before we get into that in some detail and later?
Well, so we had a meeting on the 11th, and we're discussing substantial form of a letter of intent, the Hunt Club, and this
Later.
be the nature of.
I think the noteworthy point is that the committee unanimously recommended that the village proceed in recommending this to council with the project. Okay.
Scott, I've got a question. Doesn't relate to the Hunt Club at all, but project got me thinking that place with the highest density of sewage and the least amount of property for septic is actually Gates Mills Elementary. Shouldn't we think about the pros and cons of tying the elementary school into the system? They generate a lot more sewage than the Hunt Club, and they've got a lot less property and they've got close neighbors nearby.
You had raised that several months ago, and I think I responded, let's get one done, and we can talk about that later with the school board if they're at all interested. They may be
Well,
perfectly
maybe
happy.
The school board would pay for it. You never know.
We won't know their interest until we ask them.
Yeah, there could also be a pretty substantial capacity problem, not only with our pump station behind Village Hall, but with our wastewater treatment plant at the corner of Mayfield and Chagrin River Road.
Chris, didn't you also say that,
Well, let me respond to that, Chris. If there isn't enough capacity to go around, then we should understand which of the two projects we get the biggest bang for the buck from, shouldn't we?
We don't even know whether the school has any interest in that or not.
No, but we know they got 125 students and 30 staff. And that's a hell of a lot of sewage for a 10-acre property right in the middle of downtown Gates Mills.
I'll tell you what, I'll call Dr. Barnes tomorrow or Scott Snyder and see if they have an interest in that. Okay?
yeah, the impression I got, Chris, is that the line from the village up to the wastewater treatment plant is sort of the vacuum line. High pressure, sorry, whatever. And putting stuff in along the way would be difficult or very expensive.
That's correct. Generally, you don't want to, right, you can't tie a gravity line from the school into the force main that goes up to the wastewater treatment plant. They would have to be pumped as well.
Yeah. So there are costs.
Thank you, Scott, for that summary. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Item number 17, this is an ordinance amending Chapter 131 Council of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills. You have had this for 2 months now. This is on third reading. I'm going to turn this over to Todd for a moment. Let him summarize any changes and then see how you want to proceed.
There were really not any changes of any significance whatsoever from our draft that we had last meeting. So I had asked last meeting because you had gotten it probably at the last minute or to look over it for a month, and that's what you have in front of you. I did make a few wording changes here and there that are not substantive. Still the same substantive provisions. Essentially, every meeting will be in person. Every council meeting be in person, and anyone attending virtually does not count toward a quorum. But vote, participate virtually. Unless there's a 3 strikes and you're out within a year. Participating virtually, you can participate, but you're not going to be counted as a quorum. You can vote if you do it a 4th time. That's essentially it. And the committee meetings would be chairperson or whoever was acting as chair in person. Anybody else in the committee could attend virtually. That's really it.
Are there any other comments on this?
I'll move approval of ordinance 2025-18.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Anton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
And my personal thanks to the law director for carrying the water on this one with the various revisions, comparisons to other cities and filled in questions from yourself. So thank you, Todd.
Well,
Item number 18, resolution 2025-30, second reading. This is resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with MCOA for collection agency services. I think there was good discussion last time about this and what I would call soft collections that are allowed in the state of Ohio. This is the final leg of our collection efforts on the traffic enforcement tickets. The first being the first warnings, the second being the second warnings and citations, and then the third being collection efforts. We believe that with MCOA, we'll be able to improve our collection percentage so that we end up averaging about 70% collections on all the citations issued. Are there any questions that you had from your constituents or questions on the contract?
I just had a question on under Article 1, it talks about the last item. The contract, the MCOA can reject any debt submitted for collection. I'm just out of curiosity, what would any example of that?
I presume if we try to give them tickets for something, let's just say violating another ordinance or something that's not a traffic ordinance, that they can reject those.
Thank you.
The ones they didn't collect.
Yeah.
No, that was their time.
Okay, that was the second reading. Do you want to keep this for the third reading, or does someone want to motion to suspend the rules?
I'll move to suspend the rule.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call, please, on the suspension question.
Anton?
Yes.
Groom?
Yes.
Deacon?
Yes.
Monesco?
Yes.
Press?
Yes.
Steinbrink?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2530?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Sandra. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Anton?
Yes.
Groom?
Yes.
Deacon?
Yes.
Monesco?
Yes.
Press?
Yes.
Steinbrink?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is item number 19 on the agenda, Resolution 2025-31. This is the first reading. A resolution authorizing additional fees to be paid to the law firm of Taft, Stentenius, and Hollister for special services declaring an emergency. We had come to you last meeting with a request, I think, up to $36,000 or $37,000 for the invoices that we had on hand, and you approved them. Since then, there was, I think, another invoice of less than $700 that was some fractional time that perhaps on a cutoff wasn't caught in that bill. I've asked for a little more room in case there's another question or two that might come up of Greg Dunn that we need approval for. So this is request for $2,500 for additional fees to be paid. The invoice we have, Janet, is what, $600? $598. Any questions on this?
I move we suspend the rules.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Roll call, please.
Anton?
Yes.
Groom?
Yes.
Deacon?
Yes.
Monesco?
Yes.
Press?
Yes.
Steinbrink?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
May we have a motion to approve Resolution 25-31?
So moved.
Thank you, Lori.
Second.
Thank you, David. Any discussion? Roll call.
Anton?
Yes.
Groom?
Yes.
Deacon?
Yes.
Monesco?
Yes.
Press?
Yes.
Steinbrink?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I would ask for motion to executive session to receive legal advice from counsel, discuss a real estate acquisition matter. Motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Roll call.
Anton?
Yes.
Groom?
Yes.
Deacon?
Yes.
Monesco?
Yes.
Press?
Yes.
Steinbrink?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Okay, we'll adjourn for a bit. Be back in a few minutes.
Yeah, we already talked about.
it to me that if meetings go past 3 hours, that we have to start providing dinner. Or there's pizza and cake in the kitchen apparently. So if you want to take a minute and grab something, I guess that was, who's that from the Celebration Department? Celebration Department. Okay, we are at item number 20. This is a resolution 2025-32. Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a first amendment of the indenture of lease with Gavi River LLC for the coffee shop at 1501 River Road to clarify options to renew the term thereof. This is essentially to link up and align the lease option terms between the coffee shop and the restaurant. So would appreciate a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Craig. Roll call, please.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, I would appreciate a motion to approve Resolution 25-32.
So moved.
Thank you, Lori.
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is Resolution 25-33. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a first amendment of the amended and restated indenture of lease with Gavi's River for the restaurant at 1501 River Road. There were several matters that I'll characterize a bit as housekeeping that I felt needed to be documented in an amendment. Those included comments with regard to the hours of operation, the rate charged for sewage, the costs of the Burton Court renovation and the sharing agreement, along with one or two other small things. May I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Scott. Thank you, Laurie. Roll call, please, on the suspension question.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 25-32?
So moved.
Thank you, Laurie.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, I thank you all for your support of those. Items 23 and 24 on the agenda, we're skipping over. We've covered those earlier. Item number 25, resolution number 25-37.
Or 20.
This is a resolution.
34.
34.
34.
34 is to dispose of. Sale of a
Yeah.
vehicle.
It's item 22, ordinance 2025-34.
See, I was trying to get out of here by
Unless you're
8:30.
buying that truck yourself, Steve. Yes.
There you go. Okay. Mr. Biggert, what's the deal on the truck? How many miles, who's the buyer and what's the price? I think they've got all that in front of them, but
Yeah, that should, I think that's all in the ordinance. So this is
15 grand.
one of the 550 plow trucks we have, which is already, we've already took delivery of the new one. So this is surplus equipment. 15,000 Watts Excavating. They were the highest bidder. And over 100,000.
so we've identified the buyer and he or she are anxious for the truck, which is why we asked for an emergency here. So I would appreciate a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend.
Thank you, Lori.
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Roll call, please.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
And may I have a motion to approve the sale of the truck?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Scott. Any conversation? David? Good. Roll call, please.
Gaton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Okay, we're gonna put, up to item 25, right? Resolution 25-37. Chris, why don't you spend a minute and, advise council on what's happened with these two items, the Racebrook culvert and the county line Old Mill culvert.
I guess I could have just used the microphone at my seat, but that's far less dramatic, so. We had two emergency repairs that became necessary when we found sinkholes in the road. The first one is on Brigham, right opposite Racebrook Road. You may have noticed that there's a cone there. There's a catch basin that's failed. There's a hole in the road just outside the edge line. And further investigation showed that we had a 24-inch metal pipe that's about 75 feet long that's failed underneath the road. So we solicited proposals from 6 contractors. We got 3 numbers back, and I'm recommending that we hire Neroni and Sons for $60,565.26, I think it was, or 36 cents, to repair the Brigham project. And then the Old Mill project, we solicited 6 contractors. We only got 1 number, which was above the bid limit. So what I'd like to do is seek council's approval to actually advertise that for bids. That sinkhole is outside the limits of the pavement. I think we've got a little bit more time. It's a little less hazardous, but still needs to be addressed. And we can advertise that and have a recommendation back for next month. That issue is we've got a 30-inch stone culvert, which is really something to see, a round stone culvert. It's got to be 100+ years old. That's fallen apart underneath the road, and soil and everything underneath the road is starting to wash into it. So we're going to line that, grout around the outside of the pipe, and fix everything up so it's watertight again.
All of those living on County Line Road, south of Old Mill, be careful going home.
Well, the bottom of Brigham's no joke either.
Which way does that water go? Chris, does it go south under Brigham?
The catch basin goes directly to the south underneath Brigham and outlets over the hill. And there's a pipe that ties in from coming up the hill. There's a 24-inch pipe that ties in from up the hill, hits that catch basin, turns 90 degrees and goes under the road and out over the slope.
Could continue the road all the way under.
Well, we're replacing 75 feet of pipe, which goes from the catch basin on the north side all the way to the outlet into the ravine on the south side.
We're going to replace it with stone so it lasts 100 years?
Mr. President? Mr. President, I would suggest that on Resolution 37, that be kept on first reading. I know there are blanks in it, but then it'll be ready for next month when we get competitive bids and hopefully have a contractor that you can approve. But also, as Chris mentioned, we do need a motion to authorize competitive bidding for that, which is the Old Mill Road, County Line Road, Stone Culvert.
So I would move to authorize this be let out competitive bidding project described in resolution 25/37.
Thank you. Second?
Can I ask one question?
Sure can.
Chris, so the whole area there, you can almost walk along there and there's like rickety railing. Is that being addressed as well when you do the repair?
We'll fill in any unevenness along the edge of the road as a part of fixing the, I think there's 2 or 3 sinkholes between the curb and that concrete head wall and that pipe railing that dates back to probably WPA times. So we'll make that a little flatter as we repair this. But we don't anticipate doing anything with that wall or the railing or anything like that.
Well, if it's rickety, let's check it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty bad and there was an accident, right?
There was just an accident
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
On the outside.
Right, but they went over correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like
I'll take a
Well,
look.
let's check it out.
it's pretty it scares me. The thought that someone could actually kind of walk on that thing because there's a railing.
Yeah, there's a guardrail there and then the railing is along the top of a head wall that if you go over the edge of the head wall, it's about 100 feet straight down. That whole top of Old Mill, you go off the edge of the road, it's 100 feet straight down, so.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to authorize.
Second.
We need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Laurie. Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
I
Okay.
move that we suspend the rules for resolution 2025-38.
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Any conversation? Roll call, please, on the suspension.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
And a motion to approve.
Approval of resolution 2025-38.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Laurie. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Thanks for all your support of that. Those are not expected costs, but they're not surprising costs. We seem to have those kind of things that come up a couple of times a year. Dave, yeah?
Chris and I were just talking about, so between the surplus from the road program money and surplus from the guardrail, we're anticipating that that should cover probably close to 98% of both of those projects. So
Wow.
just, yeah, it's unexpected, but we've got some money that's already committed to other things that we have extra, so should help cover it.
Great, thank you. Okay, item number 27, agenda item 27, ordinance 25-39. The chief and I have spoken over the last number of weeks and months about the civil penalties for exceeding the speed limit on Mayfield Road Hill. The chief has checked with other municipalities as to their rates. We've fallen behind. We prepared for council a memorandum, which should be in your packages, that suggests increasing the only for the first tier, so the other tiers would not change. The first tier 135 to 155. Chief, anything you want to add to that?
The only thing I would say, and I'm sure it would come up, the reason for that, and $20 increase. If you remember last year, the court tacked on another $5 per citation. So, and then the others are at 150, most of the other communities. So, you know, the $5 is just because of the increase that we saw in the court. Yes, sir.
Chief, are you, one could infer from this that you're also considering lowering the threshold from where it is right now. Is that true? Or
No, no,
leaving it where it is?
no, yes, no.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Thank you, Laurie. Second?
Yes, me.
Thank you, David. Roll call, please, on the suspension question.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
We have a motion to approve resolution 25-39.
I'll move to approve it. Mine says 150. We're doing it.
It's on the second. There's no, then it was on your packet there.
Okay,
I did the same thing.
so I'll move to approve ordinance 2025-39.
Second.
Thank you, Laurie. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Thank you. Item number 28 on the agenda, ordinance 25-40. This is an ordinance to amend section 318 of the code to increase the civil penalty for exceeding the speed limit in a school zone when recorded by a traffic law photo monitoring device. We have reported at the last meeting that we have taken some measurements of the speeding levels at the St. Francis School Zone area on Mayfield. This would, and the chiefs put that in a memorandum as well. We've checked with other municipalities for their charges for school zone speeding. And I think we're pretty much in alignment with those. We also have discussed that we would start charging that rate probably at 8 miles over the speed limit. Hate to publicize that because you don't want people going 26 or 27 and a 20, but we also don't want people to think that we're going to go down to 22 miles an hour. So that rate will be $200 starting at the 8 to 10 miles over and then increasing slightly over that. These would only be done during the school zone hour, during the schools in the school zone in both directions, east and west, and would only be done during school hours. So 7 to 9 and 2 to 4, whatever the actual school hours are. Chief?
That is mainly true. The cameras would be on 24 hours. However, it's the way the roadway is up there, speed limit is 45. So there probably isn't too many people driving too excessively through there. So we wouldn't see that many, in my opinion, we wouldn't see that many citations during the 24-hour period. Maybe late at night, nobody's on the road, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, people are whizzing by, you might pick up some of that. But as a rule, we probably will not, but they will be operating 24 hours a day outside the school zone as well.
So you're saying extraneously, you may have somebody at 7 o'clock at night flying.
Correct.
through
You could. We don't expect to see a
45
large
and they
volume.
get 20.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's not the intent, but that's how the system works. We'll deal with that.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, the current ordinances draft, it says 6 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I think that's our intended goal. We could make it 8 to 10 or leave it at 6 to 10, both would suffice. It's just, if we want to change
Yes,
that.
I let the cat out of the bag. So it may say 6 to 10 so that it looks that way, but our plan would be to only have it at 8 to 10. You got me.
Chief, I guess it was my understanding when this was done in April that there wasn't an excessive amount of speeding at St. Francis. I mean, did I misunderstand that meeting that it wasn't, there was some speeding up there, but it wasn't the extent that we had on Mayfield?
Outside the school zone hours? Outside the school zone hours, I would agree. Not during, we really didn't talk too much about during the school zone.
Okay.
During the school hours.
Okay.
Outside of that, yes, I would agree.
Okay, so then do you have numbers that you
Yes.
share with us, like during?
I do have
It
numbers.
doesn't have to be now, but.
Yes, yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, and then I understand school zone is, to keep kids safe that are near the road, but the reality is the school is pretty well set back, and so there aren't many kids that are out walking around near the road that it would be an issue. But did we also look at Gilmore or at Gates Mills Elementary?
Well, the challenge with Gilmore is we only have one side of the street. So that's, I think, Honey Valley experienced that same issue there. They only have theirs on the one side because Pepper Pike's the other side. So, and then and quite honestly, it's a volume thing. I mean, I don't think we see nearly the volume at our elementary school that we went on Mayfield Road.
They are practicing football on the front grass in front of the old rectory.
Okay.
Drive by there, you see the pylons up with the
So,
markers.
and I just.
I think part of it, and I'm sorry,
Crazy.
jumping in here. I think with Hillcrest Hospital right there, that certainly factors in. You have the towers, so there's a lot of stopping and going once you enter from Mayfield Heights into Gates Mills and out of Gates Mills into Mayfield Heights.
Okay. I mean, if we looked at targeted enforcement there during school hours.
Oh, yeah.
One more.
Oh, yeah. And, the challenges are, they're still the same. Stopping cars, you're back in there. You see a violator, you go after a car. By the time you get stopped, he's probably at Mayfield and West Hill Drive starting to go down the hill.
Okay.
That becomes a problem.
Thanks.
So this is just for the fee, but not for GATSO to do the camera?
Gatso, the arrangement would be the same. Gatso would be providing the camera and the technology.
This is just the.
This is just the.
This is just fine, Jess.
And so we would just be doing the camera under the existing contract?
Yeah, there'll be an amendment. Yes, and we will have that for next month.
Okay, got it.
Okay, did we suspend the rules?
I have one, I mean, I agree, we want to keep the school zone, people behaving in school zone. The only worry I have is that I think as we focusing all on Mayfield Road, we're gonna push traffic to other roads that are be less equipped to handle more traffic. For example, some Mills, Brigham and Old Mill. And I know that, we saw Hunting Valley's camera and they have cameras all over the place. I know Michael's talked with the mayor in Hunting Valley. Maybe that was their thought, is that we want to just push traffic to some other road where people are going to avoid. And I kind of think Craig was hinting at this, that eventually maybe we're going to end up with cameras on other roads.
Which I'm not in favor of.
Right. But if we're pushing everyone off of Mayfield and pushing them onto other roads where they're gonna then misbehave on those roads.
I can tell you there's a problem on County Line, Craig, where you and I live. And we had a guy stand up at the microphone tonight and talk about a problem on River Road.
It's just a thought. I mean, I know this will allow the police to do some more targeted enforcement on those roads. They're writing real tickets. It's just an observation. I mean, I think we're gonna slow down the right for football.
I followed a guy down Old Mill, the twisty part, the east Old Mill, in a Bentley Continental, and he was doing 54 miles an hour.
And that's, and that's gonna happen on all our roads. I mean, anywhere you go. I mean, you're gonna have outliers. There's no question about it. It's just, and that's just not Gates Mills, that's everywhere.
I mean, if it's about safety, why do we care about safety on Mayfield and not care about safety in the village?
I'm just not trying to turn us into Europe. I'm just not trying to turn us into Europe.
What's wrong with Europe?
David, we're already over 3 hours.
Argue.
If I could.
Three things wrong with Europe.
I think this is important to note here. I mean, whatever happens with this piece of legislation tonight, this is nothing that happens right away. We're probably at least 3 months out. There's construction, there's plannings, there's drawings that GATSO has to do on their end. They have to line up a contractor. So, yeah. So this is.
The plan is this would go into effect November 1, and we would provide notice ahead of time, school bulletins.
And there'd be a warning period,
mailboxes.
Correct.
Okay, so we can place it on second reading, or we can have a motion to suspend the rules. If you want to think about it,
I'll move.
we'll consider, I'm sorry,
I'll move.
second on suspending the rules.
A second.
Thank you, John. Roll call, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
No.
Turner.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2540?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion?
The comment on top of page 2, section 2, second line, Gates Mills Heights. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, we'll fix that. Thank you.
Good catch.
No further discussion. We'll have a roll call. Beth, please.
Eton,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes.
Deacon,
Yes.
Vanessa,
Yes.
Press,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner.
Thank you.
That was my first so moved, by the way. Yes. I don't know if I get a cake or something.
There you-
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, item 29 on the agenda, other council matters.
Can I have 60 seconds? I know everyone wants to go. I felt like I was giving mixed signals earlier today. I was kicking myself for it, but I wanted to just do it clear. I wish everyone didn't leave, but they left. That was a good example of the example with the sidewalk was a good example of what happens in the corporate world in a different light. You have someone who's on a committee doing something or a special project. Someone either quits and gets fired and someone else comes in. And then the worst thing that can happen is all the work that happened up to that point gets taken and just thrown away. And then someone new comes in and says, nope, we're doing it my way, or we're going to reevaluate this or something like that. And when I look at government from the outside and I see things that happen multi-generational, meaning the generation would be the council or the executive side, you sit there and go, well, they did all this work, and it's possible to keep a project on the books for literally forever, because if it takes 3 years to get somewhere and then you keep restarting it over and over and over, it's kind of like spitting in the face of the people who came before you. So when I came in today, I was expecting to vote on a bridge and a sidewalk, 150 feet of sidewalk. So for me, it was a pretty no-brainer. And a lot of them you get to kind of go, okay, well, everybody was into this, everyone's doing it, and those are easy decisions. But when it's not an easy decision, and you're sitting there and there's a little bit of back and forth on it, I have to rely on people who were prior to me, who did all the work ahead of time. And it seems as though if I were to say, okay, well, we're going to, and I realize we're not piecemealing it, but in this case, I was planning on both of those as a kind of a bundle. It makes it seem as though don't have respect for the process that happened up to the point where I was coming into it. So what I would say is, so that's why my position was what it was, just for clarity to put that on record. But what I would say is I would like to know, and I just would have a request, when the process started for that, when they were notified. So if I just get those two dates, then I kind of have a little bit of a hard line here where I say, if indeed people were notified, say 8 months ago or 6 months ago, and right when I'm about to vote, people come in droves, then I have a problem with that, because you're putting me under the gun. I'm supposed to go against what other people have done in the hard work that they've done for 3 years. And it puts me in a really awkward position to say, okay, well, I'm now going to listen to all your things, which probably should have come up 6 months ago, a year ago, or something like that. So it's a difficult thing. I just want to put that on the record so that people didn't think I was sending mixed signals. I was actually just really confused on what to do. And I felt as though I was being put under the gun for that. So that's it.
Those are great. Thank you, John. Michael, other matters?
I have two, Mr. Mayor, but I shall endeavor to take less time.
Sorry.
Colleague, Mr. Nisko did. The first one is that we've talked about traffic cams. There's another kind of cams that's gaining popularity. Hunting Valley is looking at putting in sound cameras. And these sound cameras detect loud vehicles, very loud, like 85 decibels. Primarily motorcycles or cars that have their mufflers modified. They're thinking about putting it in. They've identified a couple of different service providers. They haven't agreed to do it yet. They are being used in at least a couple other cities. They're used in New York City. They're also used in Chattanooga or Knoxville, Tennessee. I can't remember which. They cost about $25,000. We have had complaints around the intersection of River Road and Brigham, and we have had complaints on Sherman. So it seems to me it's something that we ought to talk about at some point. So I would suggest we talk about it at a future meeting to see if there's any appetite to do this, or if it's something we don't want any part of. Second item, you'll recall that in May of 24, we passed a charter amendment motion by a vote of 5-2. Purpose of the amendment was that if council makes a significant change to zoning, that had to be ratified by the voters. Not much happened for the next year or so. Then in February of 25, in my absence, council voted to table the motion and basically put it into an induced coma. I'm not particularly happy that that was done, and I'm not particularly happy that it was done when behind my back when I wasn't there. At any rate, I'm giving you all notice that I am going to ask to untable it. I'm going to put a motion on the table to untable it at the September meeting. And I'd like to correct the record. One of my colleagues said in the minutes of the February meeting that he felt that The May motion was, that passed 5-2, was sprung on council at the at the 11th hour. Well, indeed, I've checked the record, and that motion was discussed at 3 prior council meetings. So there was nothing was sprung on anyone.
It's incorrect.
And that councilman has to ask himself why he voted, if he voted for it or not. I don't know whether he voted, which way he voted.
What time was the language sent out to council?
I don't know.
30 minutes before the meeting.
We discussed all.
That's sprung on
language,
council.
the prior council and the council before that. You could look at a dialogue back and forth between Councilman Deacon and myself on that.
Okay, so the gist of that is you're going to make a motion to untable what was tabled. No, I understand.
I want to give the plenty of time, ready, 30 days.
You're going to give
Well, when-
material to review
when will you
in
give-
advance?
Heads up, but I'm gonna-
Are you going to give us material to review in advance?
Yep.
What are you going to send us?
Like it, I'll deliver it by first.
No, listen, as long as we've got information in our council packet ahead of the meeting, I think that's great.
Well, actually, I was trying to have some. We've
It
already
would be helpful for discussion.
opened it up for discussion. Yeah.
Well, it would be helpful for discussion if we all had information that you feel pertinent to discuss. That's, I guess, all I'm asking for.
Fine.
Okay, so you're going to untable what's on the table and you're going to provide information in advance so that people have something to react to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Any other items from council? Any items from the audience? No? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? Roll call.
Okay.
Done. Thank you all. It's been a long night and we covered a lot of material and thank you for your preparation.
No, it's my daughter.
Thank you for all the work.
My daughter is.
Have you guys caught up on stuff?
3, 4 a.m. every night.
Thank
Which used to be my schedule. Nowadays.
I'll work with that. Dog.
Yeah, I do believe I flipped it all around.
Somebody can't just climb over when they want to.
I mean, it feels like an attraction. Okay, thank you. I appreciate. Oh, yeah.
Got a big boat.
I'll look out my.
You
guys doing it.
Oh. You know, I probably could do that. I am starving.